giving Ben little messages on these videos when I send them to him.
Up next will be Nellans. Her question is, what impact will Liam Panetta's attempt to build military relationships with Colombia, Brazil, and Chile have on the United States' mounting geopolitical rivalry with China?
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton can run a boardroom like a man. She can wear a pantsuit like a man. She can even drink like a man. As Hillary Clinton was criticized by the media during her visit to Colombia for throwing back through cold ones. However, she hasn't been the only one fraternizing with her diplomatic counterparts in Latin America. And our Secretary of Defense, Liam Panetta, is also on his way to Brazil to rediscuss and replan the 2010 Defense Cooperation Agreement, which essentially sets up mutual defense between the United States and Brazil. Panetta is also in the works to build the same type of mutual defense with Colombia and Chile. The problem is that China also wants to increase its bilateral relationship with these three countries. And it's this competition to amass allies that the RAND Corporation explains in April of 2012 provides a big reason that the United States and China could soon see conflict, as the two work to gather allies in true Cold War style. The problem is that these tensions could come just in time for this Cold War to turn hot, which is why it is critical to ask ourselves today's question: what impact will Liam Panetta's attempt to build military relationships with Colombia, Brazil, and China have on the United States' mounting geopolitical rivalry with China? And the answer is it takes us from geopolitical rivalry to a true Cold War atmosphere. More specifically, first, because we'll see the formation of a Chinese as well as the United States bloc. Second, because it creates nuclear challenges between the United States and China. And finally, because it will entice China to build up its blue water military. During the Cold War, we saw the formation of an economic and ultimately defense pact with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the Warsaw Pact. We might be seeing the type of development of these same organizations today, which is the first reason why this defense agreements between the United States, Colombia, Brazil, and China, or rather Chile, creates a Cold War type of atmosphere between China and the United States. In fact, the Council on Hemispheric Affairs explains on April 19th of 2012 that one of the United States' main ways in its pivot to the Pacific is in fact to try to gather trade partners on the Pacific Rim. The problem is that when many people think of these types of trade, they think of partners such as Vietnam or the Philippines. However, as the Wall Street Journal points out on May 9th of 2012, Chile is one of the most important members of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, an economic agreement meant to back up military operations. The United States is also in the works to form free trade agreements with Brazil and has lifted tariffs on the country. Moreover, of course, the United States signed a free trade agreement with Colombia last year. But as the Wall Street Journal, this time on May 7th of 2012, explains, China has also signed a massive oil deal with Colombia. Thus, as these countries see competing deals from the United States and China, they're going to be asked to choose sides. And we could see this spread throughout the world as Latin America sets a precedent. Thus, we see a situation in which those allied with China and the United States become the big players, essentially fighting proxy wars throughout the world. During the Cold War, people were taught to hide under their desks in the case of a nuclear attack. And girls were even taught in home ec class how to furnish bomb shelters. Because there is nothing worse than a bomb shelter whose drapes don't match the carpet. This is a climate that none of us want to live in. However, the second reason that U.S. growing relationships with China, or rather with Chile, Brazil, and Colombia, is it could actually create nuclear challenges between the United States and China. The Air and Space Power Journal, in its spring of 2012 edition, explains that despite rhetoric from President Obama, one of the main tools in the United States arsenal is our intercontinental ballistic missiles, as the United States relies on nuclear deterrence to keep the peace. And as the United States grows mounting threats from China, it's going to look to build up this nuclear arsenal even more. And the Council on Hemispheric Affairs, this time in November of 2012, explains that the tools that the United States needs to build up its nuclear arsenal lie in China, Colombia, and Brazil. or rather Chile, Colombia, and Brazil. As the three countries, Chile in particular, possess huge amounts of uranium. And the United States won't be the only ones looking to these nations. In fact, Foreign Policy magazine on May 8th of this year points out that China is also looking to build up its nuclear arsenal. As it said, nuclear deterrence is how it also wants to keep this Cold War from turning hot. Thus, the United States and China are going to be competing in Latin America for this new uranium to build up their nuclear arsenals. The problem is that if the United States or China were to launch a nuclear missile, the other country would know just in time to launch their own, creating a situation where the United States and China could potentially see a Cuban Missile Crisis type nuclear war. During the Cold War, we saw the United States as well as Russia expand their military spending tremendously. And this is exactly what we'll see in China as they build up their naval spending, which is the final reason why this geopolitical rivalry will become a Cold War, as the United States builds relationships with Chile, Colombia, and Brazil, because China is going to be enticed to expand into a blue water navy rather than its current green water navy. The United States gains massive benefits from having naval relationships with Colombia, Brazil, and Chile. Not only does it provide a place to fuel up on the way to the Pacific and Asia, it also provides it with huge economic benefits. Foreign Policy in Focus writes on May 11th of 2012, there are massive amounts of resources within the Pacific as well as trade opportunities. The United States is the one who has naval control over them. It's these problems that The Economist points out on April 7th of 2012 are forcing China to build up its own blue water navy to challenge the United States' naval dominance for these trade ports as well as resources. Thus, this naval conflict once again points to a warlike feeling and even potential war between the U.S. and China. Thus, when we return to today's question, what impact will Leon Panetta's attempts to build military relationships with Colombia, Brazil, and Chile have on mounting geopolitical rivalries with China? The answer is that it takes this from a rivalry to a Cold War. More specifically, first, because we see a Chinese and U.S. economic and military pact form. Second, because nuclear posturing between China and the United States increases. And finally, because China challenges the United States' naval dominance across the globe. Thus, it's clear that we've all seen today that China and the United States could potentially be involved in what could be a dangerous war, causing us all to need a drink.